let me. I just started the recording again. You can just quickly go over what you just corrected or whatever.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I was actually gonna do that. I just added return to this function and return uh, my event uh, component. So I added the button here. Now I can create another function that is my on-click event. So, and I can do that within here, but I would have to use function. Use a function tag. Now that was something, and Isaiah, you can actually correct me on this. That was something that I looked up was if I'm using an arrow function here, then when I go to create other functions within my component, I'll have to use the named function tag in order to do that. Or vice versa, if I was to use a function, then I would have to use the arrow function or something like that. I wasn't 100% sure. But I seen it somewhere, and I actually want to kind of look that up.
I'm not sure. Could you show me an example of what you're saying?
So like if I was to create another
Oh,
function
function.
with,
No, you can create an arrow function in there. I never just do that older way of doing it. I'm not sure why they said to do it that way.
uh,
Yeah.
do something.
Yeah.
All right, do something. I'm gonna make it do something. What am I gonna make it do? So just we'll make it alert. Make it alert. Hey everyone. Make it alert that. And so now we're getting to the actual event on click. So on click. Oh, and it auto completed this time. We're gonna run this do something function. So every time we click the event, hey everybody, how you doing? Right? I said also that you can extract your I'm gonna try to do this correctly. That's right. I'm gonna try to do this correctly. You can extract your event type. So now I had to pass in. Let's see if I get too funky with this. I think I have to do it as an arrow function. And then I'll pass in the event into the function, and then here. Let's see if that works. Hey everyone, click. There you go. And if I want it to be a little bit more spaced out, okay, didn't do the space out, but you see what I'm getting at here. You smell what I'm cooking. You get what I'm putting down here. So this is the actual event type. So with one, you can pass in variables and you can pass in your event type, and then I'll actually just pass in some variable here. We'll just we'll make B whatever you want to tell people. I want to do it like that for now. Save. Boom. This is my message, and click at the end. That's so funny because I forgot it was rearranged the other way. And this goes in a usability class. This is why it would be better to have A dot type in the front and B in the back, or I would switch the naming of the variable to make A the message and B dot type the event. So when I put them in, it actually goes the way it's supposed to. But at any rate, so yeah, you can extract your event from this, and then I can even do like a on mouse over, on mouse enter. Yeah, we're gonna do on mouse enter. Get that out of there. Boom. This is my message, mouse enter. So you can pull your event type and you can pass in different variables into your functions. So that's our event component. Okay. Folder, event. Put those in there. Didn't even have to style that mug. Move that. Uh-oh. Don't jump. Move. See those red lights. You see those crowds. You see them. There we go. All right. I just changed the location of it here. So that's the event. So now let's get into so we've done events. We'll do conditional rendering. And we'll keep the event cool. So we can do conditional rendering. Conditional rendering basically is using the if statement to choose what you're going to render. So let's, what happened? Somebody got a question? Okay. I know I did something strange here, but at any rate, so within our components, top level, we'll do what I say, conditional rendering. Condition, and we may or may not have to CSS this. I'm not gonna add one for now. Get the event out the way. And I'm not gonna import too much of anything. But I do wanna, well, I'll wait to the end. Let's see. I use their example. Constant. We'll make a function called is red. Is red. If it's red, return a div.
Yeah.
Not a
You always
dive.
want those React components to be uppercase also. Like,
Yes, that's correct. Because it will not work if it's not uppercase. Thanks for the heads up. I actually ran into that issue last night. Was trying to create. So is red. And then we return. I'm sorry, Isaiah. What you was saying something?
yeah, that's all. Yeah, to make it uppercase, that's all.
Okay. Oh yeah, we gonna change that back to on click too. Just so I'm not constantly having to see that alert. That's something I noticed with React is that most of your JavaScript functions or methods that was spaced out, it becomes spaced out. Style. Do the same thing, except I'm gonna make it blue. I'm not gonna get too crazy because this is actually one of the issues that I ran into last night when trying to use um conditional formatting because I wanted to make it very like dynamic. And so I put it in a dynamo and it exploded on me. Let's see. Make sure it's something before I continue. Okay, cool. And then with the blue, I think I may make this. I'm using inline styling, by the way. So I really could do this. Like I could do this styling in a CSS file. I'm going to use inline styling. But if I wanted to, then I would import a condition.css file for this component, load it in, was loaded in with the import, and then I would stylize everything inside of there. I could give this div an ID of like red or something like that, and then call out that ID and give this one a ID of blue. And so it'll automatically take the changes, pick up the CSS styling if I really wanted to do that. But I'm gonna be relatively lazy and I do that. I'm gonna do something different. Also, with your automatically goes to black anyway, but I'm gonna just specify. I also with inline styling, so let's see. I'll do it. Nice height. Yeah. Also with inline styling, your styles, your style tags with hyphens in them will now become camel case. Also, note that I've used these curly brackets within these curly brackets to do my styling. That's proper methodology. That's proper syntax. Like you can't do, you cannot, 200 pixels. You cannot do styling without using those style tags. I mean, without using these brackets, it won't work. Just as a heads up. So you have to put the style within another set of brackets. Like you have to put these styles within another set. Okay, that's enough. That's enough setup. Now we'll do our condition. Then we'll basically pass this in. The props is basically a dummy variable in which you can extract your like variables that you would pass in. So I'm going to use HTML terminology. The props are your attributes. So they're the attributes of your tag, which is your component in this case. Like to me, a component is almost like an HTML tag. So each component has attributes within them. If you don't call anything, then it doesn't have any attributes. But by default, they have the prop attribute. From the prop attribute, I can start using object destructuring. Oh my gosh. Oops. I can use object destructuring to pull out these attributes, is what I'll call them, of my component, and use those attributes in my function, in my within this component or function, JavaScript function or class. I'm equating, it's not class. So that's another thing that I didn't quite look up because I heard that classes were going oh no, classes were pretty much obsolete if then red. Load red up. Else, we're gonna load blue. Blue. Yeah. And so now we'll be able to pass in our true or false. And honestly, I could pass in red or blue, green or black. It doesn't really matter, but I want to pass in something that converts to a Boolean here. So it's got to be true or false in order for it to work in an if statement. This if statement works as the classical if statement does. You know, nothing too different about it from JavaScript. Like it just handles, it's a condition handler. Condition. Hence the name of. Could I export just like this? I have to export default. I have to export. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, cool. Okay. So I'm gonna, oh, also, this is why you copy. This is why Isaiah says that you should be, you should copy. Hold on. All right, sorry, there was a lot going on in the background. Back. So, this is our conditional. So this is gonna load. If it's red, it's gonna just load is red. If it's blue, then it's gonna load is blue. And so now I'll export that. I'm gonna have to import that in here. And so if I wanted to, for condition, I could put all those in a condition, but oh, look at that autocomplete. Let's go autocomplete.
I'll probably hit it like a format document too. You can do a right click just to
You said format. Oh yeah. All right, give me one moment. Yeah, I do that. So the reason that it was showing me an error before, and then because I know some of that was hard to look at. Red was not.
you didn't see it.
Oh, yes, you're right. Okay, there we go. So now this condition, now I'll pass in my okay, yeah. Actually, it's a Boolean that I'm passing in. I gotta make sure that I wrap it in the quotes because the curly brackets because it's JavaScript. So there you go. Let's check here. It didn't load up. Let's see why it didn't load up. Import, export, condition, cool. True or false. Okay, pass in, right. True or false, right. It's red. It's red. Create a div.
I got a quick question, John.
What's up with you? Oh,
Do you got to return in the condition?
I do. I do have to return in the condition, and that's exactly what I was about to do.
Yeah, I was waiting for somebody to pick up on that.
Look, y'all get to see me do this real time. You know, that's the right way. So yeah, there you go. So if it's true, it's going to be red. If it's false, it's going to be blue. And then yes, just like Duran so astutely said, you do have to use the return within your if statement. So you have to, just like in JavaScript, you have to return something. Well, in JavaScript, I don't think you have to return from an if statement, but you do have to return your HTML element, and those were the HTML elements. Components are essentially HTML elements to me. That's how I treat them, like functions and HTML elements. Anyway, we'll switch to false. Now it's blue. Boom, there you go. So this is conditional formatting. You can use, and this should be, comment that out. You can actually also use tertiary or ternary ternary syntax,
Yeah.
what we call it. Yeah.
Ternary operator, I think it's called, or it's called,
Yes.
yeah, just ternary. That's however you name it is fine.
Yeah. So this is gonna do the exact same thing. You can use that ternary operator. True or false. And then once again, and this is a wonderful lesson on making sure to return. So the first time I did it, just, I was just testing y'all just to make sure, that y'all got it correct. But this time, you see, since y'all got it correct, I just went on and did it. But yeah, let me quit. So yes, this is, you can use the ternary, true or false, or you can use this. It's once again, an if statement is an if statement is an if statement. Gladly, they don't change it much, because if they did, I would probably be extremely confused. And that's conditional rendering, right? So now
So
we'll move.
question.
Go ahead.
So in your condition.js, don't you technically have 3 components, is blue, is red, and then the condition component? How come you don't have to export all of them? How come you only have to export just the condition component?
One more time, just to make sure. Oh, because I'm using, so all of these are within the same file. These all can be seen by this function. So just like in JavaScript, as long as I define things within a function where the function can see it. So like, for example, if I was to bring in event, if I was to import event, then I would be able to use the event component because it's now a part of this environment. I brought it into this environment. Other than that, it would be totally detached. So just like in JavaScript,
Okay.
my function is defined within this environment, within this scope, right? This global scope here. I can use anything within this scope. And since I'm already returning from these functions, my divs, then I can return them here in this condition. So, and these are the only 2 things that I'm returning. So I'm not like trying to return something else. So I'm returning this component or this component. So I don't have another return in here. There's only one return for these components that are returned from this function here. Does that make any sense? Did I answer your question?
You did, because like you said, they're in the same scope, which that does make sense now. Since they're in the same scope, you only have to export one, and that's a condition which has access to both of them.
Which has access to both.
The app component access to both. Okay.
Yep, that's it. I'm saying it's almost it's JavaScript in that way. In that way, it's JavaScript. So what was I? So we're gonna move on to list, and now we'll just put that in the conditions folder. No, I'm not gonna change it. I just keep on creating components. We'll put them in. We'll leave them in the same folder, in the same components folder. Create a new file. Call it list.js. Well, no, I can create the function. I think I can create the function straight. Should be able to. Okay. So now we're going to, and now I'm gonna take a little help from something that I was trying to create. With list, they're pretty straightforward in that you can use, I keep it in there, it doesn't matter. You can use this array to map through you can use the map function to map through an array to help you create components. I mean, to help you create your HTML tags within your component. Give me one moment. You'll understand when I'm done. Like I said, I'm taking a couple of things. I've had this set up, so it makes things a tad bit easier. Makes it easier. So copied in my targets. So I was gonna make a app that basically used the button to trigger like a couple of different effects. It would have been a picture change, and then it would have been an alert that would have triggered up. But for the time being, and I want to make sure that I'm perfect. I want to make sure that I'm turning in, doing the right thing here. As a matter of fact, I do it like this. I actually prefer this better because it looks better to me. There we go. All right, cool. Target, my key, passing in a name. That's putting in my name, boom. And so that's gonna show up. All right, cool. All right, so, and I'm gonna explain this, so don't worry, guys. I'm not just gonna leave you hanging on this. It's just a little bit easier for me to do the setup and then do the explanation. So save that, make sure we save that. And then we'll import. Import list. Oh, I actually gotta import it separate.
Yeah, it may actually autocomplete for you if you use the list tag in the HTML.
Oh, like if I bring it in, it'll autocomplete. Ooh, I want to see that.
It'll write the line for you. Yeah.
And I feel like you've shown us that before. It did.
Yeah.
There you go. So I have these names here. Now let's go back to the list and explain it, right? Because it gotta, what just happened here? So with your map function, and I can actually define this globally if I wanted to, but you can use the map function to create your elements. In this case, I'm creating a list element. I could do the same thing with like the options in a select in a form in a excuse me. I can use this within a select tag and create the options like dynamically using my map function. So now let's break this down. I create this function that returns a list of names, and that's all this is doing. So I'm passing in names right here. I'm passing in names. Let me wrap this, make it make sense. Yeah, I'm passing in names. Names that I'm passing in is being used to populate this list. So object, pass in your props, your attributes. I'll use object destructuring to extract my name attribute out of this target component. So I can use this, so I can call it out here and make it render dynamically. I guess it's still static, but so I can make it render with respect to this array of objects. But anyway, so if I was to not give this a key, I would get a warning. Do that now. Uh-oh, didn't get the warning. That's surprising. Why didn't I get the warning? Maybe it's because it's newer. But usually, and this is what I've read, so as if I'm missing something, please allow me to, or please, jump in. But it says keys allow React to keep track of elements. This way, If an element is updated or removed, only that item will be re-rendered instead of the entire list. Keys need to be unique to each sibling, but they can be duplicated globally. Generally, the key should be a unique ID assigned to each item. As a last resort, you can use the array index as the key. And, you know, you can use just a key. It'll be target, it'll be index. So you would then have to pass another variable into here. And then your key instead of name would be, did I copy it? No, I didn't copy it. Equals, and key would be index instead of array. See, still shows up, still here. Refresh, still there. And if we go into the divs, you see all your lists are being created dynamically. Right. So from each of these names that I've passed into this, I've created my div. And if I wanted to, I could pass in another name. And this is just for the sake of, you know, showing you an example. Give it a new ID. And and now Bugs Bunny becomes a part of the fray. So now, because
I'm gonna hop in real quick. So with that key, right? They say as a last resort, use the index. And the reason is because whenever you use the index, and let's say we remove an item from this from the array, the render could be buggy because now the index is, if let's say we removed what's pop out of Salaman, now all of the indexes of everything changes. Like number 2 would be 1, 3 would be 2. Yeah, like the update will be buggy. Now we don't see it here, but I've seen like situations where like things are just not updating because we're not using technically unique keys. It's not unique because those indexes could change. What I would do is use target.id because now even if we remove Popeye the Salaman, all the other things still have the exact same key. Like number 2 has number 2, number 3 has number 3, etc. Yeah, I will always use it like that. Yeah. And but like I said, like in this case, it looks good, it works, but like I've seen it break before. So yeah.
Yeah, keep that in mind. And that's pretty much, that's all there is to list. Like list is a very, very straightforward thing. You'll just, you know, you'll cycle through an array of objects and use those, these different key values to, key value pairs to populate whatever list you need to populate to create a list or create options or, you know, whatever the case may be in those things. You can create multiple components relatively easily using your map function on your array of objects. So that's pretty much list. Anybody got any questions or anything that they want to ask right now? Well, loading up to do the next thing, which if I'm not mistaken is forms. Oh my gosh, not that. Form.gist. And this is going to take some setup, so. Arrow function. Okay. So with forms, you want to, let me make sure that I'm got everything. So give me one moment. Yeah, we did list. I want to do them with the keys. Cool. So forms are relatively simple. All right. You can return a form that looks like this. And don't really need a label, but I'm going to put one in anyway for the sake of completion and for the sake of following this example that I've so wonderfully pulled up. Input. Oh. But this is just a regular input. Self-closing. Then I'll just make it a simple text box. There we go. It's being returned. Let's export that mug. And there is something that I wanted to show you guys that was real cool, but I'm gonna do this first. Okay, and then we'll import. Yeah. Export form. All right, and then y'all get to see this come up real time. Yeah. So this is a form, but you seen what happened. As soon as I entered in my text, it automatically refreshed the whole page. Well, as we all know in React, we want the rendering to be handled by us, not by the default HTML. Okay, that default HTML actions, those defaults. So in order to do that, and then I'm going to go back to my example just to make sure I do this 100% correctly. So just to do that, we're going to control our, to do some setup. Yeah, we're going to control exactly what happens within our form, and we're going to control the refresh. So we'll start off by managing the input using our useState hook. useState allows you to, oh cool, useState allows you to dynamically change a variable state within your component. It cannot be defined globally, so I can't use state outside of the component. It has to be within a component. Also, it has to be top level. You can use something called prop drilling in order to access the variable within another component that's a child component of the the parent component, the outermost parent component. But I'm not going to get into that, one, because I don't fully understand that, and two, because yeah, that would take a little bit of explaining too. And I would rather the expert explain it